This is the Retirement Solution Podcast with financial advisor Jon Hicks, founder of J. Hagan Capital.
Is the 401k dead? Let's discuss. Because as an idea, well, it was first created in the 70s. Then it took off in the 80s and in the 90s. But at inception, it was created as a way to defer taxes on certain income, not to be used as a primary retirement plan. However, for so many Americans, that's what it has become. So is the 401k dead? Is a question that Yahoo Finance actually asked Charles Payne with Fox Business. This is Charles Payne's response.
I don't know that it's dead. I will say, though, that the 401k hasn't lived up to the hype. And I think that's one of the problems, right? And every year they come out and they'll say we have this many 401k millionaires, right? And it sounds like a huge number. Cool. Then you say, well, how many people have a 401k? And it's like 0.03% of everyone with one. So the promise was that if you just put this money in, it was going to end up being worth a lot of money. And I don't know that it's dead, but I think people have to approach it differently. And I think they're starting to, particularly like the 60-40 portfolio. I think that's a huge mistake. On the 40 side, 40% in bonds, I think is just a massive mistake at this point.
The 401k as a tool, you can't deny what it has done for savings, for people to save for retirement. But on the other hand, it was created a long time ago for something that we do not use it for in the same way, John. So maybe it needs a revamp. What are your thoughts?
Well, is the 401k dead? The real question is, was it ever meant to be the retirement plan of America? The answer is no. So when you look at why does it even called the 401k? Well, K is so the 401k is the subsection of the tax code. K is the paragraph. So in 1978 is when the IRS adopted the subcategory of the tax code. It was 2 years later that a benefits consultant in Pennsylvania named Ted Benna looked at that and he said, you know what? I think I found a way for executives, highly compensated people, to peel off a little bit of their income and put it someplace to defer taxes and maybe have it grow. That's how it came up. So it was 2 years after it was on the books that Benna said, hey, this may be really good for executives. Flash forward to today, it is essentially the retirement account for America. And that's the problem. It was never meant to have such a heavy lift. So when someone says, is it dead? The question is, should it have ever been considered America's retirement plan? No, as a tool, as one account that we can defer and save money in, is it great? Yeah, but it was never meant to do this. And we have seen the failures. Charles Payne, obviously on television every day, giving us analysis for finances. I agree with him on this. It really comes down to what should a plan look like? Because a 401k is just a tool. It's just an account. It is not a plan. Right. And that's where most people fail. They just don't have a plan in general, Heather.
All right, so here we are, though. It's 2026.
Yes.
We're close to 50 years into using the 401k. It sounds to me, correct me if I'm wrong, what you just said, 401k was meant as a way for rich people to defer taxes. And here we are, regular men and women of America, using it to save for retirement in a space that so many of us are just uneducated. The idea of financial planning, market investments, all these things, and yet we're expected to manage it.
Well, the craziest thing is, and I think you make a really good point there, where you say, we're uneducated. The thing of it is it changes nearly minute by minute anymore. Okay. Congress can go out and they can make a tax law change, and all of a sudden it shuffles up the entire deck. The president of the United States can go in and tweet, or whatever they call that these days, and truly change how markets respond and how plans operate, even what countries that are considered allies or no. So things happen very quickly now, with 24-hour news, networks 7 days a week. And so because of that, we just can't keep up very easily. And that's not our job, right? If we're accountants, our job is to account for things. If our job is to plumb, then we're plumbers and we do that. If our job is as a carpenter, we go work with wood. How many of us truly sit down every day and say, my job is to analyze all these investments, find the proper criterion for me to base my entire livelihood on for 25 to 40 years in the future, and make sure I'm adjusting that correctly on a daily, quarterly, monthly, annual basis? We don't do that, mainly because that would make us slam our head into the wall or pull all of our hair out. That sounds terrible. Yeah. So, in my industry, that is what we deal with. And there are days, guys, that I want to slam my head in the wall and pull all of my hair out. You can start to see some of the thinning now. It's no joke, based on what's happening that day, what the market cycles are doing, what the headlines are doing, and how people react. So what I would say overall is when we're thinking about all these things that we can deal with, this is one of those things. It's kind of like I don't change my own oil. I used to know when I drove an old Chevy truck, I knew how to do it. It wasn't complicated. Now, if I get into my Japanese or German car, I'm not even going to lie to you. I don't know where the dipstick is in the German car. Not a joke. You have to take off this piece, literally, that is hiding the engine in my German car. You have to take that off to see what the actual engine looks like. I wouldn't know how to do it. So this is one of those things that it makes a really good decision for most of us to get a second opinion and find out, what are we missing? Of the tools we currently have, are we utilizing them correctly? Are they efficient? Because when it comes to a plan, that is one thing that a 401k is not and never will be. It is a savings account that if your employer pays in and matches in with us, that can be great. It could be the only quote unquote free money that we're ever going to get. And I have to, put an asterisk on that free. We have to put blood, sweat, and tears and getting up at 6 a.m. to be at the office in order to get that gift of free money. But I don't think that its intent, I think it's run its course. Okay. So I think it does need a revamp. If you're looking at the things that I think it really needs to have, it needs to be more automated. It needs to be auto-enrolled, auto-rebalanced, auto-escalate. So every time that we get a pay raise, it automatically bumps up. If we did that, it would be better. Right? It won't be set it and forget it, but it would be better. But currently, those three things are not on the plate yet. It'd be nice if they got there one day. It still is never going to be the end-all plan for Americans.
RetirementSolutionsShow.com is where to go to start the conversation with Jon and his team about understanding what your 401k is doing for you now, what it can and will do for you in the years ahead if you do nothing as is, or if you get to work creating a plan for the proper adjustments going into retirement. It's retirementsolutionshow.com or click on the links we've got posted. All right. With all of that said, so many of us arrive to retirement with, a lot of Americans, right? They've got their house and they've got their 401k. Sure. And now we have to change we have to put a new lens on it, a new filter on it.
Absolutely.
So when we get to retirement, hello, Mr. Hicks. I've worked very hard. I've got $2 million in my 401k. Help me. Now, where do we go from here?
Yeah, so that is the great question. And that's what most people, that's what we graduate to. As we're working, the objective is keep doing your job. Be good at your job. Get promotions in your job. Move up the ranks. Go to a better company that pays you a little bit better for your job. Just keep putting money in to this account. That's what a 401k is. It's just the account, and we accumulate and grow money over time. That's great. Now, when we get to that time period when we're thinking about hanging it up, where that paycheck is not going to be coming in because we want to retire. Hopefully not tomorrow. Hopefully we've given this a little bit of thought and we're looking 3 to 5 years before we retire is the objective, because then you can turn that pile of money, that 401k bucket, you can turn that into an actual game plan where you can actually create income streams, right? So if you look at it, the reason why really great, skilled, holistic advisors build models, they do it for a reason. And so our model we have 5 pillars in our model. Number 1, 2, and 3 are the most important, and the 401k does nothing to help with it. All right. And that's the important thing. So when we're thinking, okay, Jon, I'm thinking about maybe retiring in the next 2 or 3 years, what can I do? We need to figure out, number 1, how much of what you've saved needs to be protected so that you can stay retired. And I know I've said this hundreds of times in the past. It is just as true today. And my guess is it'll be just as true 10 years from now as it is the very first time I said it. When we retire, we can't stay retired if we don't protect what we have. If we lose 50% tomorrow in a market, crash or something like that, we probably wouldn't have enough to stay retired. So number 1, we have to know what percentage of our 401k or IRA or whatever we've got needs to be protected so we can stay retired. That's number 1. The second thing is great. Now that we know how much protection we need, how much income can we create? That's number 2. And the thing of it is that we always want to have a floor. The things that meet our basic needs so that we can stay retired. That is the floor. And for most of our clients that have done a really good job saving, we've saved a couple $1 million, $4, $5, $6 million. So we don't have to worry about the floor. We're trying to figure out, great, we know that we're going to meet all of our basic needs. Now, what can we do? Now, what are the things that we want, our desires, our dreams? How can we give more to the kids or grandkids or our churches or our organizations? Those are the more important things. That is what we want to try to build, and that's income. And the third thing is, how can we keep more of it in our pocket and out of the government's, right? Because if we don't have a plan, if we don't have a written tax strategy, then the government already has a plan for us if we don't have our own. And chances are it's just going to take more of what we've saved. So a 401k is great to save money, but we need 3 primary and fundamental things in order for us to get retired with a real plan. We need protection, income, and tax design. There's 2 other things, but those are the big 3. If we got those 3 down, we're in really good shape. And unfortunately, the 401k just doesn't do that at all on its own.
I was about to say, we need protection, income, and tax planning. 401k, does it check any of these boxes?
Protection, no. Income, no. Tax planning, absolutely not.
Yeah.
0 for 3.
Yeah.
Now, as far as saving money, great. As far as what do we do to turn that big old pile of cash into a paycheck in retirement so that we can do all the things we want, it does none of that. Absolutely none. So, once we get to that point where we're 3 to 5 years before retirement, or we're 59 and a half, at 59 and a half, we can make different decisions. We can take that 401k and put it in any investment structure we want. Most people roll it into their own IRA, and they can control those things. They can control how much protection they have. They can control the income types of things, whether they're looking at TIPS, which are Treasury inflation protected securities, or bond income, or annuity income, or pension style income. They can do all that.
Right.
And then lastly, that tax structure. It's how we pull it out. We have to have a defined plan on when we pull that money out to win that tax game too.
The 401k is a great savings tool for so many Americans. But when it comes to what to do with that money in retirement, it's not exactly set up for your best interests. But at J. Hagan Capital, they are here to show you how to take this precious 401k that you've worked so hard to build and now make it work hard for you, generating income, adding layers of protection, and of course, tax efficiency in your retirement. So if you've got questions, let's get to work helping you get some answers. RetirementSolutionShow.com is the website, or you can just click on the links we've got posted here.
Thanks for listening to the Retirement Solution Podcast with Jon Hicks. Begin the conversation about your savings plan with Jon and the team at J. Hagan Capital by visiting RetirementSolutionRadio.com. Be sure to listen to Jon's radio show, The Retirement Solution, Saturdays at 8 a.m. and Sundays at 9 a.m. on News Radio 840 WHAS.
J. Hagan Capital Incorporated is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if J. Hagan Capital Incorporated is licensed in your state, please call 502-690-5635. J. Hagan Capital Incorporated is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through J. Hagan Capital, LLC, NPN number 1882794.